This is Richard back at you guys. Wednesday morning, beautiful morning outside. Got a lot of things going on. Got a lot of eye candy sitting around. Got a lot of work going on. Putting an ultra bell on this one here, trans brake. Had to replace the case and everything on this one here. This one here is a total rebuild. Actually, it was a core we built up. We put all billet shafts in it, Sonex parts, trans brake. I mean, everything is in this unit here. It's really nice. This unit here is coming up for sale, actually. This one here we just got done for a single turbo S10 truck. A really nice truck. Makes over 1,000 horsepower, really fast. Upgraded with a ringless input shaft and pump. Went with a different gearing in the tranny. Really nice unit. Also, we have a 4L80E here that we built up. That was a cord we bought. It's got all 300M input shaft, intermediate shaft, your Sonex roller bearing hub, Allison clutches, SK shift kit, stuff like that. Really nice unit. This one's going up for sale too. So we got two coming up for sale. It's going to be really nice. Christmas is coming. You can pat mom on the back, say, hey, I need something for my race car for Christmas. You still got time. And hey, this is in the United States. It ain't out on a boat somewhere, so you can get it quick. That makes it even nice. But anyway, we got Kelly's 2004 6.8 liter F250 Ford in the house flatbed, 243,000 miles on it. It come in with an input speed sensor code in it. Once we cleared the code, made sure it was working. When we scanned it, the speed sensor always did work. It never didn't work, but it had a code. We cleared it, went and drove it. Cold, tranny doesn't feel good. Like it's got hard seals, stuff like 243,000 miles. There's no really telling what we're going to find when we get it apart. Really nasty. I told Trent, why didn't you wash it for me? He said, Dad. I said, son. But anyway, we're going to take some pieces off of it, keep the dirt on one side, flip it over. That way we can kind of keep the table a little bit clean here. But anyway, we got our input and output speed sensors. Find all my sockets here.
While you're finding those, I'm telling you, that thing looks way better than what it looked like in the vehicle. So
yes, believe me, we dug this thing out. Believe me, the floor looked terrible. So we have our input and output speed sensors here. These are identical. You can change this one to here, this one to here. They're the same. Identical. This one here has got a little hole knocked in it. It's got something sticking to it. One thing, different length. Want to be careful. Brackets the same. The distance is going to be the difference in the distance between here and here. The depth is where you're going to see the difference. Of course, we have our vent hoses here for our transfer case. Goes all the way to the top, to the bottom here. This stuff is always rotted. We have to...
It wasn't hooked up either.
It wasn't hooked up. You can see here it's all cracked up. Now we replaced these lines all the way because they're always... See, that one there just broke off. Didn't even have to take it off. It's still on the vent right there. So, and we'll get our neutral safety switch off. Now, when you go to put a new one of these back on, you can see that line right there and that line there. You have to line them up. The shifter is in neutral. You line that two lines up and you tighten it down. Real simple. This thing is heavy, heavy. Some of them are made out of aluminum, some of them are made out of steel. And the steel ones are really heavy. And then we have our park mechanism here. You can turn it and it'll lock in. Take it back out, put it back in park, roll forward, boom, locks in. Pretty simple. See if I can get that out of there. Some of them I can, some of them I can't. pull it right out. Now, on our cooler bypass line there on the side of the tranny, we replace every one of those. It's got a check ball down in here that if it ever gets stuck or anything like that, it can cause major problems with your tranny. I mean, it'll burn this thing right up. The new line will come with both of these pieces here. It'll come all together. It'll have a fitting here that holds them together when you get it. This little piece right here. Now you can blow air through here and feel this check valve working, but still we always replace them. It's just something that can happen and take your tranny out under warranty, and that's just a no-no. And you can see here we have our solenoid pack. Now it does have a lot of fluid inside the connector. You can see it wasn't leaking out here anywhere, nice and dry. So the only way it got there was through the connector and in the plug. So we'll look at the connector, make sure the wires ain't rotted or anything like that. See if we have to put a new connector on the outside of the tranny too. Okay, I'm gonna try to keep this as
There you go, tranny.
painless as possible. Now on our torque converter, now this does have a PWM style system, pump, solenoid pack, and torque converter. Now this has a triple disc in it from the factory. You can see these ridges right here. That looks real bumpy through here. That tells you that this is a triple disc torque converter. 6 lugs to mount it to the flywheel. Fluid looks pretty. I already drained it, so it's not much going to come out.
Rubbing hard on the hub too. Looks like got some wear.
On the hub there?
Yes, sir. Sorry, was trying to catch you before you. Just some markings, nothing crazy though.
Yeah. Better look at the bushing when we get it apart.
Surprise for all of us, by the way. We don't didn't have to take the pan off. So I don't know what's in it.
Hopefully nothing.
Yeah, I mean it drove, it just slipped really bad. Really ratty.
Kind of got that green look to it, huh? Kind of.
That's weird.
Like the,
Almost looks like somebody serviced it at one point.
yeah, the rubber gasket.
Yeah, that's weird. Got that green look.
Bag that's not too bad. Filter's pretty dirty. Got the cheaper filter on it. The one we'll put on there will be a real thick one. Bigger body and stuff like that. A lot better filter. Now you want to get your seal out of here that's on your filter. If you ever do your service or anything like that, you don't want to put 2 of them in there. And of course the deep pan, shallow pan, this neck's about that long. So, see how that sets in there. See how easy it is to, if you smash your pan, hit something in the road or anything, how easy it is to touch that against there. Look at that. You'd think that, to me, isn't enough room for that filter. Can you see that, Trent, how close that is? And that's physically how that sets.
Yeah.
Look at that. So it don't take much to push that pan up, plug that filter plumb off.
An eighth of an inch.
1/8 of an inch. They don't.
A lot of them are that way. I mean, all of them.
Yeah. I mean, it's like, wow. Now on this tranny here, you got nuts that hold the valve body on. Got 6 of them, 10 millimeter. And then to hold your solenoid pack on, you got torque sockets. torque bolt, excuse me.
What was it? T35 something?
Yeah, I can't see it.
It's a Torx 30.
Now, we know pretty much that this is a PWM style tranny, just the year of it and stuff like that. But anytime you get a solenoid pack, you want to give them the part number off here, because there is two different solenoid packs for PWM and a non-PWM. So, and now we got a bunch of 8mm. This is the accumulator body I'm taking off right now. This is what controls shift feel. Now all these bolts here on the bottom are the same length. Kind of let that drain just a little bit. And we'll get this part here off. Now you're going to have two bolts here that's real short. Excuse me, right here, and then you got the long ones. And this is your engagement control valve. Reverse controls up here. And then over here, if you notice, we have check balls. We have one big one here, one big one here. We have a small one here and a small one here. But if you notice, you could put one of them check balls there. Look how pretty that looks. And that looks pretty good, doesn't it?
Yeah.
But it doesn't go there. If you grab this plate, you'll be able to tell you have your double slot here for your ball. You have no double ball here for this slot here. Pretty simple. Of course, we have all our check balls that's going to fall out. It's going to be 4 of them.
Little squeegee hanging in there.
That thing is. It's been a good one. And mainly on here, you just want to check your valves, make sure they're all free. Nothing shift kit that's going to be in the shift kit. We're going to do it in this area here. Now, this spring right here in the shift kit, you don't have to pull the valve out to replace it or anything like that. It comes in, sometimes this spring's broken, but you can just take and pull it out like that and put the other one right back in without pulling the valve out of the bore. So really easy to do. And it's a blue spring in your shift kit. So now on your accumulator body, you have your 1, 2, your 3, your 1, 2, your 2, 3, and your 3, 4 accumulator system. And this is a 2-stage system. You have a valve here, it has to move, and then it comes in here, and there's a valve and a spring in here. Let me get this out real quick and I'll show you. I got this little hook here. I pull it out with usually. I have to put my glasses on so I can see what I'm doing. try and get that out of there.
You're grabbing it, it's just slipping.
Let's pull this one out instead. I got another deal over I usually use. I don't use. Normally they just come out like that. And then we'll take this bolt, screw in here. And I grab a pair of timely channel locks, or vice grips, excuse me. If this tries to seize up, getting it out of there, stop and put some grease on it. There it comes, okay. So there's our other, this is a valve and spring right in here. You can pull this out, clip. Just remember which way your clip's facing, because you have another spring. And a valve down in there. Let me find my screwdriver. Now the shift kit will come with a metal valve that it wants you to replace on the 1-2 accumulator valve. But it'll retro, I put metal ones in all of them. You can. But this little valve right here will come in your shift kit. You'll use your original spring, you put the new metal valve in there, and then you put your retainer in there like this. So, two-stage, it has to push this to push this.
Yes, sir.
We don't mess with this valve at all when we go to shift kit them or anything like that. We will always be going into this area here. Your shift kit will come with 3 springs to go in here. Now, we'll even go farther than that to space it even tighter if I don't like that shift. So, but you do have one here, your 1-2, your 2-3, your 3-4. So you can play with these right here and get your shift feel down on your shift just by messing with that little bit right there. Pretty simple.
Pretty simple. Yeah, right.
Right. There's no check balls that go on top of the plate on this here. The only check balls went into your engagement control body. Now your shift kit is want you to drill a couple holes in here. You can get it over here and turn. It's going to be this hole here, and it's going to be this hole here. Okay. Now just read your instructions on your shift kit, because we put a shift kit in every one of these. Now you have your blow-off valve and spring right here. Goes under your plate. Your shift kit's going to come with a different bullet-looking thing that keeps it more centered in the hole of the plate. Seals a lot tighter. And we have our engine brake servo here that applies our band. These are always get hard and brittle. You can usually just break the edges of the servo off. Now we do have a screen here, a filter here that sets in your plate like this. And also we have a filter that sets in here. I don't see it though. Could have been left out, but there is another filter that sets up in here. It's a little short one, about that tall. Now also, all your check balls. This thing's got all kinds of check balls in it. One here. I'm telling you, there's one in there. There,
Yeah.
and not there. Why don't they put one there? It's got a trough. Well, because you're going to come over here and look at your plate, and you're going to look for that trough. Well, we got one trough here for this one. We don't have no trough here for this one.
Correct.
That's why it does not get a ball there. Your gasket, when you got your gasket on there, it'll tell you where your troughs are if you look at it really close. Which ones will work, which one takes a ball, and which one doesn't. So. Now we have our 13mm bolts here. These support go to your direct clutch, your forward clutch, and your overdrive clutch. These are hollow bolts. They all got Loctite on them. You don't tight this right through here. Torques down very little, maybe 7 inch-pounds at all. When you get your overhaul kit, this gasket right here that goes against this case right here is really, really thick. The upper one is its normal thickness. It's thin. The reason why they did the thick one here is because this right here has a tendency to bow inward like this, and that thick gasket will contour to it. And that's why they did that. Back when they first come out with these trannies, we were having all kinds of problems with this gasket. It was the same thickness as this one, cross leaks and all that type stuff. And once they were seeing it, they changed it up quick. So, pretty simple.
Pretty
Didn't like that.
smoky.
Uh-oh.
It's dried out. I dried on.
Uh-oh. That tells you brushless won't work in oil. Oh.
She's still smoking. She'll be fine. She'll clean out.
I'll clean her out with some carburetor cleaner and she'll go again.
Oh, that's funny.
No, you can't use brush style tools in tranny shops and oil and stuff like that. It just don't work. But the brushless work really nice, don't they? Work really nice. Now you can see here, this front seal's been starting to seep. The first design seal on these units were like a gray style seal, and it started having issues with the fluid. They changed their design of fluids and stuff, and here we come with this seal here, started having a reaction to it. I'm gonna try to blow this out just a little bit here.
Hey, you know what? I was gonna tell you, I seen that sitting on the gat on that earlier.
I don't know what that is. Yeah, I just now seen that since you said that. Hopefully we can get this out. Come on. Because you don't really, right through here, guys, let me show you something. It's something you don't want to do unless you know what you're doing. If you take and pry right here and you break that right there, you're in trouble. The case is no good. So you can pry here once you get it out, but you just want to be real gently. And then we're going to come in here and I'm going to tap on it. And we're going to kind of try to work it around. And get that out of there. It's all that dry dirt. See if we can get that out of here now. I'm telling you, nothing but a thing. And we'll kind of clean this off just a little bit. Pretty nasty. See if she's still got it in her.
A couple more miles.
Yeah. So we have a bearing right here, and we have another thrust washer right here. On the pump, if you have to change this pump, you definitely have to get another diesel pump. Because they make a gas, they change this front pump up so many times to get the achievement that they wanted, but it took them a while to get it done. But here's that gray seal I was talking about that had problems with the new style fluid that they come out with, and started having issues with leaks like this on the Fords. So that's a common problem. The new kit, the seal is black. So we don't see pump gear wear issues on these at all, hardly. A really good pump design. But what they did do is they went with multiple gear sizes, and they went with multiple feed holes here on this pump. So you get a gas one, got little tiny gears, little tiny feed holes. If you put a gas in a diesel, it's done. It can't pump enough fluid to supply lockup and all the lube circuit and the forward clutches and all that type of stuff. It just can't supply enough oil for it. So that's why they just kept going up with bigger gear, bigger pump, and then they finally got it to what size they needed. Now you got a 4L80E, they were the pump so massive that they worry about pump pressure getting rid of it. Yeah. They're not worried about making it, they're worried about getting rid of it. So, same way here. Now, since we have a PWM style pump and solenoid pack and computer system, this right here is your lockup apply circuit right here, or exhaust circuit. You notice there's no cut plug in here. Let me find another. You can see here there's a cut plug in here, and then there's a hole drilled in it. On the early design lockup system, there'd be a cut plug here, and you'd drill that hole out to make lockup firmer. Well, in this unit here, the cut plug's already gone. So there's no way to make lockup firmer. Now they do give you a spring here for lockup, to the clamping pressure spring right here, is what I call it, to have the clutch clamp tighter. So that spring there is in your kit. This pump looks really nice. Put some gears in it, clean it up, boost valve, stuff like that. Now your shift kit will come with a new boost valve and spring here. We always put that in here. New bushings. If you notice too how these bushings are shaped, how this has got like a circle and comes back down. Mm-hmm. See that?
Yeah.
Well, look at this bushing here. It's a straight shot. They'll fit though. They will fit. See how that slant there is straight down?
Yeah.
Well, that bushing will go there and that bushing will go there. But that ain't how they go. So you need to make dang sure you put the right bushings in the right spots. Now also when they went to the later model transmissions, they went to pot metal stuff, and instead of having cast iron drums, stuff like made out of really tough metal, like this 4L80E Overdrive drum here. I mean, this thing's made out of metal, solid metal. You can see here, this is made out of stamped steel. They put a piece of metal in a deal and they press it down in there, and that's what it comes out to look like. Well, they have wear issues when they start doing that here with the clutches, start digging into the drums and stuff. You can see that. The gear's hardened. We don't see much wear in the gear. We don't see much wear in the sprag area here neither. You can see this little tiny sprag.
Let's see how it works.
I mean, fragile, huh? Just remember, this sprag will go either direction. The spring always pushes the roller uphill. Just always remember that. And you won't go wrong on putting your sprags, your roller clutches in. Now your shift kit's going to come with a bigger snap ring here. You will have to cut it to make it fit. Then you have your engine braking clutch. Two clutch. Of course, we have bonded pistons in this one.
That's pretty crazy though, two different transmissions, you know, they look alike.
But they look alike,
Similar.
don't they? Kind of funny, huh? Yeah. 4L80E, 4R100. Isn't that weird, huh? And you go grab their Planet.
Same thing.
Same type of planetary system. There's their Planet.
Yeah. Underdrive, overdrive clutch. Underdrive, overdrive clutch.
Right.
Yeah.
See, that's what people. I've tried to teach Trent that They all have low reverse clutches or low reverse band. They all have a forward clutch. I've never seen a forward band that I can think of. It's always been a clutch. You know, they have a third gear clutch. I've never seen a third gear band. Well, on the 5R55s, they made the second gear band actually a third gear band when they brought on the Overdrive band to make second, then they bring the third gear. I mean, they did a lot of swapping on them. So now this has been updated. It's got the roller bearing down inside the support instead of having a snout here. We don't ever see any wear there. We have a steel Planetary here. We don't really ever see any wear here, you know, unless we run out of oil or something like that. Just make sure your gears don't wobble, any pitting or anything like that. Also on your sprag race here, you want to Scotch-Brite this up really good. Look for any chatter in here. Take this out, clean all the metal out of there. They made two different washers too, depending on what year, so pretty simple. And then like Trent said, here we have our overdrive clutch. Now they did change the clutch up too when they went to the stamped steel drum. They changed the teeth on the clutch. Now some of them only have a 2 clutch. The difference is the hat. I make a thick and a thin hat here. If you got a thick hat and if you can find a thin one, you can add another clutch in steel. So, pretty simple. Now we have our bonded piston here for our overdrive clutch. Our shift kit will come with a snap ring right here. Normally this snap ring is just laying in here, setting in here like that. It's already off. The new snap ring is a spiral snap ring. It overwraps twice to hold that on there. And then we have our bonded piston here. Your kit will come with it, piston. And then we're going to get our support out of here. Or actually, we're going to get our overdrive and intermediate clutch piston support. There you go.
Looks like you've done that once before.
At least once. Put this bearing here like that, and this bearing goes on your Planet like that. This bearing was sitting in there, that way I just want to make sure they knew where that went. Like that. Now here we have our support that has two sets of pistons in it, one for your intermediate clutch and then one for your bonded overdrive. Then you have your bolt here that sends the fluids through here in another hole. And here's your piston here. Of course, this has to go back in there a certain way because this is wide here. You see how it has to go in there, then line up to your hollow bolt. Right. Okay, we'll start here on this support first. Now the earlier design didn't have this bearing here. They had a snout on the end of here, and they had a bushing in the end of the output shaft that supported everything. But since that bushing wore and stuff like that, they got away from it, added a bearing here, took the snub off the end of here. It just supports everything a lot better. They put a cap in the end of the output shaft, but it has a weep hole in it still to spray oil. So if you got one that's like that, you can buy a kit that comes with this hub, the bearing, the little plug that goes in the input shaft. You take the bushing out, put it in there, and you can update it to it. Now on your sealing rings and stuff on this support, you always want to check this here. That's where your forward sealing rings run. This is your third gear sealing rings here. They didn't really upgrade these rings to anything better. Everything you find is just stock, cheap steel stuff.
There's a little rust on that.
Is it rusty?
A little rust.
Oh,
Yeah.
this thing could have had water in it
I just
sometimes.
seen it shine, yeah.
We have our intermediate clutch here. It's a 3 clutch. Now our backing plate, our thick plate goes in the case, then it stacks up and then your piston applies the thin plate like that. If you stick it in like that, and it's easy to do, I've had them come in the shop that way, it'll bend this plate all the way down into the case. It'll just bow it, smash it all the way down in there, and then you'll lose second gear. So the thick one's got to go against the case so it doesn't bend, and then the piston applies it like that. Pretty simple. They made multiple settings on this. You notice that we got 3 thick steels. They made them with thin steels, thick clutches. I mean, they changed this up a ton. And I haven't ever found any type of information on what physically goes there. So if it comes in that way, try to put it back. That way you don't have no problems. And if somebody's been in there before, just use your ability and figure it out. How's that sound? Yeah. So we have our intermediate sprag. Notice it spins to the left, locks to the right. Just the opposite of a 4L80E. 4L80E spins to the right, locks to the left. See? So just like this, if I took this apart, spins left, locks to the right. If I took this apart and I thought, I went over here and I grabbed my new sprag and I put it in there, the next thing I know, it spins to the right now and locks to the left. I put my sprag in backwards. So if you do that, it's so simple to make a mistake. So you always want to write that stuff down. That way you know. We have a chart in there on every sprag rotation hanging on the wall that they ever made. Spins to the left, locks to the right. Sprag's in right. So big old sprag too.
Big.
You want to check here for any chatter marks. Scotch-Brite that up really nice. We have a washer right here. Now your washer kit will come with a brass one, but we don't see anything wrong with the plastic, but it will come with a brass one. Now here too, you want to check this inner race for any chattering. Scotch-Brite that up really good. Come here and Scotch-Brite this up where your rings were running on your support. Your support rings, those rings right there.
Yes, sir.
So you can see where they were running right here. There's no grooving or nothing. It's just nice when you Scotch-Brite it up, give your new rings a place to go. Now, this is a really low groove drum here. This, to me, this tranny has had to have been almost taken apart before. Because we've only got 4 clutches in 3rd gear. And this being a V10 even, there should have been 5. This should have had a high groove drum in it. This snap ring groove should have been all the way up here. So somebody tells me somebody's been in this tranny and changed this drum out, because there's no way this V10 had a 4 clutch high drum. It'd be just like a diesel. I mean, it makes too much torque, and that's why they do that. So we can fix that up. We don't have to have a high groove drum to do it. We'll change this top hat and put a different top hat in here and add 1 more clutch and steel and get 5 back in there like it is from the factory. Now if we had a high groove drum, we could get 6 clutches in there, but since we don't have that drum, we're going to put it back at least the way it comes from the factory. And still, without all the modifications that we do, it's still going to be a lot better 3rd gear than it ever was. So. And then we have our engine braking band. So all that thing does is big. Our FIOD overdrive band is that big. Almost looks just like, I've never tried to stick it in one.
Almost looks just
Just like it, huh? A little bitty narrow band like that, huh? Of course, we have our forward sealing rings right here. And we have this little bearing right here, easy to lose. Now these sealing rings, if you notice, this side's still nice and pretty black because this ring was black when they put it on from the factory. If you come on this side, it turns to chrome. It's because all the pressure on this ring is trying to push outward. So that means it's trying to shove this ring outward. If you look at this ring, it's black on this side because it was trying to shove this ring outward because the fluid pressure is in the middle. That's why you get wear on the outer sides of your ring. Okay, that's why they go with high pressure sealing rings and stuff, because that's what happens to the metal ones under high pressure, or just when you start getting metal in them and stuff like that, the metal starts eating at the ring, or just pressure itself. So now we do have a washer here. We have another bearing here, sets down in there like that. We have our forward clutch. Get that out of here. I'll show you how we're going to add 5 clutches to that drum real quick. That way you know how easy it is to do. Now this is our forward clutch here. We have 4 clutches in it that moves the vehicle forward. We have a wave to soften the engagement when you put it into gear, that it doesn't slam into gear. And then we have what we call a bevel plate, a ply plate, and then we have a flat, what we call backing plate. Okay? I'm going to show you something here. Since we have our high gear drum set in here, and we already have our 4 high gear clutches, we're going to set that in here just like this, and we're going to put it in just like they had it. Okay. Okay, now you can see the distance between this clutch and this screw right here. That's the thickness of this plate. Well, if you take this bevel plate, a ply plate, out of your forward, look how thick it is.
Nice and thin.
Okay, or excuse me, thin. If I take another steel, which is identical steel that's in this drum, and put it in here just like this, I'm going to use a forward clutch just because that's what I have here laying here right now, and set it in there. I'm going to take this plate here and I'm going to set it in there. Now I got 5 clutches in there, and I'm going to take this snap ring that goes in there and I'm going to put it right back in there. And look what we did. We just added another clutch to that drum. Now, at least it's back to factory. And believe me, 1 clutch taken out of a drum, it'll wipe it out real easy. I mean, it's just like going from 200 pounds down to 170 pounds on a 2,000 horsepower race car tranny. It just ain't gonna make it. It ain't gonna survive. Just that little bit of drop in pressure is enough to take a tranny out.
Correct.
So, but that's how you do that. Pretty simple. Now we don't want any more clutches in forward. We're not going for anything like that. The forward clutches will hold plenty as 4. We do have a bevel plate here. And if it comes up, it acts as a spring and it pushes the clutch back off right here. Now, anytime we get aluminum pistons out like this, and you have a seal like this, and then we have another seal that runs in here, right there, which is an O-ring that's sitting right here in this drum. We'll come in here and we'll Scotch-Brite this right here. Just take you some Scotch-Brite and get in the middle in here, and just take your hand and just sit here and turn this and Scotch-Brite this up right here. I'm going to do this just really quick, just a few little cycles of that, and I'm going to clean it up just really quick. Won't take but a second. Blow it off. Look at my new surface. And I didn't even work on it. I just barely touched that. Before it looked terrible. But now at least my new seal has got somewhere to run.
Correct.
Really nice. Scotch-Brite, make it your friend.
Yeah.
It is ours here. So you always want to check these splines right here too for any type of stripping. You notice the spline on this forward drum only goes to halfway through the drum. I don't know why they did that on a lot of these units. Some of them, if you can find a long spline drum, good luck, because they are different when they put this bearing here, guys. Let me show you something. You can go out, I can go out in the trailer and go get 6 long spline drums. It looks just like this. Spline goes all the way to the end. Well, the problem is this shank right here is not cut right for this bearing. This bearing sets flat. On them other drums, the bearing rocks. It sits there and does this because it is not square cut right here. I could probably take it to a machine shop down to a friend of mine and have him just put that little cut right there in there and make it where I could use them. But I've just never done it. But mainly check for splines. Make sure your splines are good because your forward input shaft splines into that drum. So, pretty critical. Now we also, on our forward planet here, you don't see, normally the diesels are steel. Since this is a V10 gas, it don't make enough torque. They went back to aluminum. 4-pinion. Big old core splines though. Big old core splines, no small stuff. So you don't see any problems with it breaking.
Right.
You put it behind a diesel, it'll hunt it down. It will hunt it down. Now on your sun gear shell, they made multiple ones of these. You want to look at your gear on your sun gear, swap your bushings out. Bushings never changed from year to year. They've always been the same, but the shell has changed. Now we have aluminum planet down here too, 4-pinion. The way it's designed, we just don't see a lot of issues with the aluminum planet. The thrust washer is pretty good size. It's not big as the 48 RE style, but it still is a pretty good size washer. Going to the steel ain't gonna help you none. Ain't gonna help you none at all. They didn't change the angle of it. They didn't change none of it. So it is what it is. Let's see if I can get this snap ring out of here. And we have a snap ring. Hold your output shaft in. Now some of our earlier design had a washer here instead of a bearing. Now see the cut plug I was talking about? How they put in there and put a little weep hole in it?
Mm-hmm.
Now if you have an early design that has a bushing, you can update it to that roller bearing style. I got a question to ask, so anybody out there watching my videos that messes with LED lights or anything like that, we're wanting to switch our whole shop over to LED and get rid of our fluorescent tubes. Is it worth it? Have you ever switched over before? Have you ever done it? Because time we buy 40 light bulbs, and if we don't like it, we could be in trouble. So, but I was wanting to hear from everybody out there maybe that has switched over from fluorescent to LED at their shop or something, because we definitely want to get more light in here. Winter's coming, shorter days and stuff like that. So, and we have our low reverse clutch here. Now you'll have a wave in the bottom of this clutch pack right here. It's your low reverse clutch. Look at that thick backing plate. If you want to add an extra clutch, you can go out and get a thinner one of these and add an extra clutch in here. It's got 4 in there now. Excuse me, it's 1, 2, 3, 5 in there now. This thing, like I said, they don't make a lot of torque, so you really don't have that type of issue. You want to look here where that washer was running. It's starting to get pretty rough through here.
Oh, yeah, you can grab it, huh?
Yeah, I can grab it. So we have to replace this piece. Now this is our sprag assembly here. You can see here how it's made out of pot metal too. So roller clutch. We call it a sprag roller. It does the same thing as a sprag, but seriously this is a roller clutch. It just does the same thing. Let me do it this way. Sprag, roller clutch. Sprag, roller clutch. They both are one-way bearings. They spin one way and lock the other direction. But it's simple to just call it a sprag. It's a roller clutch. But anyway, this will go in either direction. Spring pushes the roller uphill, so you always want to make sure of that. So, not too bad, guys. Minor wear. Just put some more clutches in this thing, make it like it's supposed to be, and beef it up a little bit. It's going to be a really nice unit when we get it done. Trent, thank you for recording, definitely. Annie and Teresa's already gone home for the day. They took took off early. Y'all don't forget to go subscribe. We got a lot more videos to come. The people are using our videos all over the world, guys, in training and stuff like that. So we're really excited. Keep it coming. Y'all have a great day.